Shyamavadato Jasharaja Kundalatvisholasat Shri Vadanambujah Puman Srivatsavakshavalayangadollasad Srivatsavakshavalayangadollasad Kirida Kanchi Gunacharunupuraha. This is verse number 2 of the 18th chapter in the 18th skandha. Madhuvrata vrata vihushtaya swaya virajida shri vanamalaya harihi prajapader veshmatamaswarojisha vinashayan kandha nivishta kaustubha. We generally have heard about Vanamala, a mala, a garland made by wild flowers and leaves. Generally Krishna was wearing because he was spending a lot of his time in the forest to look after the cows and calves, etc. So they used to play with the Vanamala. Somehow Mahavishnu has been associated with this Vanamala. In this particular birth, Vedavyasa clearly says that the child was born and the child had so many other ornaments along with Vanamala, which was encircled by a number of honey bees. Krishna never felt disturbed. This boy also is not feeling disturbed. There is a little honey in the different flowers. They have come there and they are sucking it. Why should we disturb? Madhuvrata vrada vihushtaya swaya virajida Shri Vanamalaya Hari. The Vanamala was another additional embellishment for him, ornament. Prajapader veshmatamaswarojisha vinashayan kandha nivishta kaustubha. There was no electricity at that time. So the whole Veshma, the whole house, it was lit beautifully by the brilliance arising from the Kaustubha jewel he was wearing. Dvadashyam sabidadishtan madhyam dinagato nripa vijaya namasa prokta yasyam janma vidurhare. See, the birth of Krishna is there. Now the birth of Vamana. Krishna's birth took place at the midnight. That was the time that Muhurta is called Abhijit. Now this is at the midday. See the contrast between the two. Dvadashyam sabita tishtan madhyam dinagato nripa. He was born on the 12th day of the lunar half month. Vijaya Dvadashi it is called. The 12th day. The sun has risen to the middle, absolutely at the middle. That Vijaya Muhurta was there. This is a contrast to Krishna's birth at midnight, as I said. How is that described? Nishithe tama udbhute jayamane janardane devakyam devarupinyam vishnuhu sarvaguhashayaha. I am wondering whether you appreciate all this narration by me. When I am talking in Malayalam and millions of people are viewing, all of them are extremely fascinated, enchanted, delighted, exhilarated, absolutely flooded with ecstasy by listening to all these narrations, because they have got a devotional and a spiritual attunement. I am not able to judge whether all of you have a similar measure, a similar approach to the whole narration, because I am not getting any feedback from you. I would like you to tell me, let me know in one manner or the other, certainly by letters, as to how you are feeling. These are great occasions in our life when we get an opportunity to become electrified with spiritual ecstasy. Very rare occasions. Nishithe tama udbhute jayamane janardane. When Janardana was being born in the prison of Kamsa to Devaki, Nishithe tama udbhute. It was real midnight, absolutely pitch dark. Devakyam devarupinyam Vishnu sarvaguhashayaha. Lord Mahavishnu, who is seated in the heart of everyone, was born from Devaki. Avirasid, suddenly he descended. Yes, it is a descent. From the womb, when the child comes outside, it is a descent from the womb. Avirasid yatha prachyam dishinduriva pushkalaha. Just like the rising of the moon in the sky, so also in that palace suddenly the moon of Krishna was born. How Vedavyasa describes the scene? Tamadbhutam balakamam bhujekshanam chaturbhujam shankhagadharyudayudham Srivatsalakshmam galashobhi kaustubham Pidambaram sandrapayoda saubhagam Maharha vaidurya kirida kundalatvisha Parishvakta sahasra kundalam Uddama kanjangada kankanadibhi Virojamanam Vasudeva aikshada. When the birth was taken from Devaki, who is the person to see it first? Vasudeva. Devaki will not be able to see it. So Vasudeva saw. What did he see? He saw tam adbhudam balakam ambujekshanam. Tam adbhudam ambujekshanam balakam. That lotus-eyed, lustrous balaka, the child, adbhudam, absolutely wonderful. There is no similarity of that child anywhere in the world, either before, then or later. Tamadbhudam balakam ambujekshanam chaturbhujam, with 4 hands, shankha gadaryudayudham. This is why I wanted to read it specifically and explain it to you. Chaturbhujam, 4 hands. But what is held in the 4 hands? Shankha gadaryudayudham. Conch is there. Mace gada also is there. Then there is a wheel, a raised weapon. There is no reference to lotus here. I don't know what happened. Whether Vedavyasa missed it in his poetic composition or something happened. This is something to be gone into. Tamadbhudam balakam ambujekshanam chadurbhujam. He says 4 hands are there. But in the 4 hands generally Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma are there. But Padma is not referred to, but there it is referred to, along with even Vanamala. Vanamala was not here. Srivatsalakshmam galashobhi kaustubham. Just like in the other case, that Srivatsa mark is there on the chest. Galashobhi kaustubham. The jewel called Kaustubha is there, hanging from the neck, and it was giving a lot of luster. Pidambaram, the yellow silk. Sandrapayoda saubhagam. And the yellow silk is worn in a body that was absolutely dark blue. So the contrast is very, very striking. Maharha vaidurya kirida kundalatvisha parishvakta sahasra kundalam. He had a beautiful crown and a number of rings, all studded with vaidurya, the cat's eye jewel. Parishvakta sahasra kundalam. The whole of the head and the body was shining in this manner. When it was shining, there were a number of hairs, sahasra kundalam, thousands and thousands of hair. When the crown was put, the others were protruding. It was very beautiful. Uddama kanjangada kankanadibhihi. What all items he had? Exquisitely auspicious girdle, bangles and also armlets. Virojamanam Vasudeva aikshada. The child, the 4-armed child, scintillating with all these ornaments, with all these insignia, Vasudeva was able to see in pratyaksha, right in front of his eyes. See, we generally say God, God, religiously. Whatever we refer to as God, as if he is a person like us, in reality, philosophically and spiritually described or analyzed. Who is this God? He is actually the pure, imperceptible consciousness. And where can you feel or have a touch of consciousness? Only in your own living body. Your body is conscious, but we don't know what this consciousness is. Unless the consciousness is there, we will never be able to be cognizing anything at all. Even the body awareness we will not have. So something is present in the form of consciousness that makes you conscious of others and conscious of itself. That pure consciousness is referred religiously as God. So here, Sreemad Bhagavatam, given to a beautiful description of the entire religious, philosophical, spiritual and yogic precepts. Whenever he gets an opportunity, the author describes the truth properly. So here, see how he says. Yattatvapurбhādi vibhūṣanāyudhaihi avyaktajit vyaktamadhārayad harihi. Here is a body decked with a number of ornaments, a number of embellishments. What is this actually? Avyaktajid vyaktamadhārayad harihi. Lord Hari, who has got an imperceptible consciousness as his nature, suddenly he has become visible, pratyaksha, evident before you, with a visible body, with a number of embellishments. Babhuvatenaiva savamano vaduhu. In the same manner, the imperceptible consciousness became perceptible in this manner. When the child was born, many people came around. It was a very rare, auspicious occasion. Kashyapa was there, so many others also were there. So as the imperceptible consciousness had become manifest in the form of a child, suddenly the same consciousness assumed an altogether different form, while all people were looking on. In the case of Krishna, when he was born in Kamsa's prison, Krishna immediately ordered Vasudeva to take him to the Vraja settlement and bring back the girl. Now the mission he had to execute after so many years, but here it is going to be an immediate mission. And he had not to go anywhere. The child himself had to fulfill the mission, not after a time. So what happened? Babhuvatenaiva savamano vaduhu. Suddenly, the power consciousness within the body instantly changed the form and became a Vamana, a dwarf, an ascetic, austere dwarf. Vaduhu, a celibate. Sampashyator divyagatir yatha nataha. Just like a dramatist will change his form, here also God changed his body. The four-handed child suddenly became a young ascetic celibate. Sampashyato, while all people were looking on. See the contrast between the two. Now he did not have to wait for any time. He had to proceed immediately for Mahabali. Mahabali's yaga. That was the place he was aiming at. Tam vadum vamanam drishtva modamana maharshaya karmani karayamasuhu puraskritya prajapadim. When they found a celibate is there, Maharshis had no surprise. On the other hand, they understood that a great mission is going to be fulfilled. So calling Prajapati and keeping him in his front, all the rituals and ceremonies were performed by the Maharshis, the great people who were sitting there. Now, a very surprised Vadu is there. Now the Vadu has to become fully equipped. It is not that a child is born, he was born with four hands and suddenly he became an young celibate, an young ascetic celibate. Tasyobanīyamanasya savitrim savitabravid brihaspadir brahmasutram mekhalam kashyapo adadad. Now the little child had to be equipped with a number of items so that he will be a full-fledged celibate. So what all things happened? Everything took place in a beautiful mystic order. Tasya upanīyamanasya savitrim savitabravid. Any young celibate must have an instruction and advice with regard to Gayatri. Gayatri is the Rigvedic hymn which authorizes a young man to read Vedas, to understand them and also to observe all the Vedic stages of life. So that Gayatri instruction is very important. So what happened? The sun god suddenly came and instilled Gayatri into him. Brihaspadihi Brahmasutram. The Upanayana means that Upaveda, that sacred thread, it is called Brahmasutra. That Brahmasutra was gifted by Brihaspadi. Brihaspadi is the preceptor of all the Devas. Mekhalam Kashyapo Adadad. Kashyapa gave him the grass girdle. There is a girdle, a waistlet you can say, which is made of 3 strands of a particular grass. So the grass girdle was given by Kashyapa the father. Dadau Krishnājinam bhūmihi dandam somo vanaspadihi kaubīnāchādanam mātā dyauschatram jagatapade dadau Krishnājinam bhūmihi. The deity of earth came and gave Krishnājina. What is that? the skin of the black deer. Dandam somo vanaspadihi. Soma gave that staff, danda. Kaubina chadanam mata. It is the birthright of the mother to give him something in the form of a loin cloth to cover the genitals. Dyauschatram jagadafpadeh. The sky deity came, appeared, and gave him the beautiful umbrella, the leafy umbrella. Kamandalum Vedagarbha. Brahma gave him the water pot. Kushan Saptarshayo Daduhu. Then the Saptarshis gave the Kusha grass, a bundle of Kusha grass. This is actually carried by any kind of a celibate. Whenever he wants to perform a Vedic item, a Vedic ceremony, Kusha grass is an important item. You have to fold it in a particular manner or put it in your this finger, ring finger. Kamandalum Vedagarbha Kushan Saptarshayo Daduhu Akshamalam Maharaja Saraswati Avyayatmanaha. Goddess Saraswati gave a garland of beads as a symptom. He can do japa using that. Tasma ityupanidaya yaksharat patrigamadad bhiksham bhagavati sakshat uma adad ambika sadi. Tasmai ityupanidaya yaksharat patrigamadad. Kubera gave him the begging bowl. Whenever brahmacharis and sannyasins go, they are supposed to have a special bowl. Normally this bowl is made by a particular, the shell of a goat, wild goat. It is somewhat long and cylindrical. That is what they carry. Itself it is not costing anything, but it will serve as a beautiful vessel. Tasma ityupanidaya yaksharat patrigamadad bhiksham bhagavati sakshat uma adad ambika sadi. When the begging bowl was given by Kubera, Uma Maheshwari came herself and offered bhiksha there for the first time. Sa brahmavarchasenaivam sabham sambhavido vaduhu brahmarshigana sanjushtam atyarochatamarisha. This young celibate has to proceed where Mahabali is performing his sacrifice, and then only the mission will be fulfilled. So he is being enriched, empowered, edified and embellished for it. All the glories were given to him. So he must look very exquisite, very exquisite. Everybody should be attracted and allured, enchanted by him. That was the purpose. So all the things necessary for the purpose were given. Sa brahmavarchasena evam sabham sambhavito vaduhu. All the different celestial deities, including the earthly people, all of them assembled to gift him, equipping him in this manner, and shining in that Brahma Tejas, Brahma Varchas. Brahma Rishigana Sanjushtam Atyarocitamarishaha. The esteemed Brahmachari was brilliantly shedding rays everywhere. Evam Sambhavidaha Saha Marishaha Vaduhu Brahmarshigana Sanjushtam Sabham Brahma Varchasena Atyarojada. The entire assembly was steeped in his luster. So beautiful he was. The birth was in Aditi's residence. But that birth was not a personal one, connected only to Aditi. It had a lot of implication. It was not merely just the birth of a son. It was the birth of literally the supreme source of sustenance. Just imagine what all factors it involved. I will tell you once again what all the presentations were given and who all gave it so that you can understand it. It's not easy to remember all these and tell you from memory. So the Savita, God Savita, instructed him the Gayatri mantra, the first item. Brihaspati gave him the Brahma Sutra, the sacred thread. Kashyapa, the father, gave him the grass girdle. The earth deity adorned him with the skin of the black deer. Krishnajina it is called. These are all insignia worn by brahmacharis. Soma presented the staff which is supposed to be carried by brahmacharis and ascetics. Mother gave him the loin cloth. The sky deity was the one who gifted him the leafy umbrella. Brahma offered the water pot, and Saptarshis gifted him with the kusha grass, a symbol to perform Vedic ceremonies. Goddess Saraswati presented him a garland of beads. He put it on his neck. Kubera gave him the begging bowl, and Parvati offered him bhiksha. All the 12 items having been received, he was anointed as a full-fledged brahmachari. Honored thus, equipped thus, embellished thus, fully equipped, the great, exalted, extremely exquisite, celibate, outshone the entire assembly of Brahmarshis there. All of them, in his luster, all of them were steeped, drowned. Then see what happens. Samiddhamahitam vanhim krutva parisamohanam paristirya samabhyarchya samidbhihi ajuho dvijaha. They made him perform the first ritual of his life also, as a brahmachari. Samiddhamahitam vanhim krutva parisamohanam. All the items were given. The fire was ignited in a ceremonial altar. He placed the faggots, the kusha grass, etc. in place, heaped them properly, and offered a little ghee, paristirya, samabhyarchya, samidbhihi, ajuho dvijaha. And he started offering one after the other different offers to the fire in the prescribed manner. Now that meant complete initiation into brahmacharya of the young boy who was born and who formed himself into this. Now, hearing about, a discussion must have followed, and he heard about where Mahabali was performing the sacrifice and where that place was. Shutva Shwamedhair Yajamana Murjidam Belim Bhrugunam Upakalpitaistadaha Jagama Tatra Akhilasahara Sambruto Bhare Nagam Sannamayan Pade Pade. I don't know what you feel. As an exponent, when I am reciting all these verses and explaining them, can you imagine the elevation I am feeling? The ecstasy it generates, the expansion and exaltedness that simply emerges in my mind. Shutva Shwamedhair Yajamana Murjidam Belim Bhrugunam Upakalpitaistadaha Jagama Tatra Akhilasara Sambruto Bhare Nagam Sannamayan Pade Pade. He had no time. This was not a birth where the mother should fondle the child, give him milk, keep him by his side, put him to sleep, wake him up the next day, again feed him, bathe him, etc. That was not the purpose of this birth. He was born to conduct and fulfill a mission. What was that mission? Going to Mahabali and doing whatever was necessary for him, and restoring the heavenly region to Indra, Aditi's children. That was the purpose. Shutva. So he happened to hear. Where is Bali? What is he doing? What? So he inquired all the details. Shutva, having heard. Ashwamedhaihi yajamana murjitam belim bhrugunam upikalpitaistadaha. Mahabali, the great, the invincible, he is performing a huge sacrifice under the direction and tutelage of Bhrigu, Bhargava and the others, Shukracharya and the others. Where is that? He came to know. And suddenly, without sparing any time, Jagama, he started moving, walking. There was no chariot, there was no bullock cart. He had to simply go himself. Jagama Tatra Akhilasara Sambruto. This is how Bhagavata gives you the idea of divinity. Akhila Sara Sambhrataha. What was the form? A dwarf. Everybody will say he is a dwarf. But what was he carrying? Akhila Sara Sambhrataha. He was filled with the essence of the entire creation. That was what he was carrying. Bodily he was a dwarf, but inwardly he was carrying the whole universal potential, power and presence. Bhare Nagam Sannamayan Pade Pade. How do you say so? Because of the weight of the luster, universal luster he was carrying, Bharena, Gam Sannamayan. Wherever he placed his foot, earth was prostrating before him. There was a marked dent getting formed. Gam Sannamayan Pade Pade. The Ashwamedha Yaga was being performed by Bali, and he was going there. On the one hand, he was going there uninvitedly. But when he goes there, he must be able to invite and demand the attention of all concerned. With that kind of an ineffable glory and splendor, he was moving. Tam narmadaya stada uttare balehe ya ritvijaste bhrugukacha samjnage pravartayando bhrugavah kratu uttamam vyachakshadarat uditam yatharevim. Tam narmadaya stada uttare balehe ya ritvijaste bhrugukacha samjnage. On the shore of bank of Narmada, there was a place called Bhrugukacha. This Ashwamedha Yaga was being performed by Mahabali at that spot. So, Tam Narmadaya Stada Uttare Bele, the northern bank of the Narmada river, Sarutvijaste Bhrugukacha Samjnage, all the Ritviks have assembled there. And Mahabali is the Yajamana, Vindhyavali is his consort. And a great Ashwamedha Yaga is being performed. Pravartayando Bhrugavah Kratu Uttamam.